So I color-coded everything. And what I want you to do first is tell me the amplitude. 3. That means the distance from the top to the middle is 3. The middle to the bottom is 3. That means the top to the bottom is a total of 6. Okay? This represents my period. I'm in radian mode. So it's not just 2 pi, it's 2 pi over 1/2. Dividing by 1/2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2, which means it's 4 pi. Normally, if my hump to hump is 2 pi, like if I was going like this, that means now hump to hump, it's 4 pi. So it's twice as horizontally wide, twice as wide, okay? Let's do the vertical shift is 4. Okay. And then now this. I put a little pinker on this because if your period is different than your normal 2 pi or 360, then you have to divide it. I have that in this cute little notes here, if you look right there. Okay. And let me explain what I mean. Let's say I had this. I bet you would agree the vertex is 2, 3, because when you set x minus 2 equal to 0, you get x equals 2, and that works. But what if, and I didn't have a chance to go over this, what if I give you this? Is my vertex still 2, 3? No. If you graphed it on Desmos, it would actually be 1, 3. Why? Because 2x minus 2 is 0. Add 2, divide by 2, x equals 1. This divided by this gives you that. This is actually a horizontal compression by a factor of 1/2. Okay? So that means for this, I'm going to go negative pi, so I'm going to go pi over 1/2, which means 2 pi. Okay? I'm not expecting you to be perfect on this one at all. This actually takes some good thinking for me. But what I do want you to do is be brave enough to even try it, okay? And that's what I need from us right now. So let's try it. Normally we would be at 1, negative 1. But this time we're going to be at 3, negative 3. Okay? If this is 2 pi, pi, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, negative pi over 2, negative pi, negative 3 pi over 2, negative 2 pi. So normally, the top of my hump would be here. But the thing is that now they're asking us to go, and I should have done more space. The top of the hump, the phase shift, should actually be at 2 pi. So that means this should be way over here, I don't know radian mode as well. I'm better at degree. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 pi. So that means the top of my hump is actually going to be here at 2 pi. And then the distance, so if this is the top of the hump and this is the top of the hump, what is halfway between 0 and 2 pi? Pi. So let's see, hold on. Oh, wait a minute, I messed up, I'm sorry. Hold on, we're good. I just can't read my own. Okay. Stir, repeat, just kidding. Here is my 2 pi. So normally this would be the top of my hump, but since I'm phase shifting 2 pi, this is the top of my hump. Okay? So that means now, if I'm going to add little nicks here, 1, 2, 3, 4, if this is pi, 2 pi, then that means this would be 3 pi, and this would be 4 pi. I don't know the other ones in between. But if we're doing a top, that means the distance, the period from one hump to the next would be 4 pi. So it's too hard. This is getting really ugly to me because that means the next top of the hump would be way over here at 6 pi. But what I could do is say my top of my hump is here at negative 2 pi because 2 pi plus 2 pi gives me 4 pi. And then that means my bottom is actually here because it's halfway. I know it's not drawn to scale. And then halfway between that would be here. And then halfway between that would be here. However, the problem is now I didn't acknowledge my vertical shift. I probably should have had more examples with vertical shift. That means instead of my top being at 3, my top is actually up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means my top is actually at 7. Which means if my middle was at 0, then now my middle is at 4, not drawn to scale. And that means if my bottom was really at 3, my bottom is really at 1. Now why is that? Look at those. Let me erase this. What is the distance from 7 to 4? 3, my amplitude. What is the distance from 4 to 1? 3, my amplitude. Okay? I actually think I think that was probably a little bit confusing, so I'm going to change this problem to this. Let's do theta minus 180 plus 2. So we're going to do this one, and I think it'll clear it up a little bit better. Oh, I didn't put cosine, so let's try this again. Let's go cosine 3 equals y. Okay? So let's ignore this over here, and let's see if we can do this problem. So figure out the amplitude. Go. Good. Figure out the period. Good. Go. Figure out the phase shift. Good. And then figure out the vertical height, the vertical shift, and that's 2. Okay? So I'm going to do it in degree mode because I think that's easier. Here's 1 and negative 1. Instead of it being 1 and negative 1, it's 3, negative 3. So that's not really applicable anymore because it's 3 times as high. Now the distance from hump to hump is 360, so that's good. So that means hump to hump is 360, 180, 90, 270. The problem is, so that covered this and this. The problem is the top of the hump isn't at 0, it's actually at 180. So that means that top of the hump is there, which means this is actually shifting 2 over also. Okay, so 360 plus 180 is 540. So that means that top of the hump has moved to over here. But then they also said, it's also going to go up 2. So that means my top is going to go up 2, and it's actually at 5. So it's not at 3 anymore, it's at 5. So let me move that up. Let me move that up. Now, if my middle was originally here at 0, but it moved up 2, now my middle is at 2. So that means if my bottom was originally at negative 3, and I'm going up 2, my bottom is now at negative 1. So what's the distance from here to here? 3, the amplitude. What's the distance from here to here? 3, the amplitude. Okay? So top, and then if top is 180 here, that means middle is at 2, and then 360 bottom, negative 1. Next number, middle, and then 540 top. Okay? If I had a thing to show you how it could be shifting, it would probably be a lot easier. But I just wanted you guys to get the basic idea. Okay? So and don't worry so much about this. Really just be able to identify this and understand how it shifts. Like maybe I'll be showing you a video and I'm going to say, based on the original to the new, tell me what I just did. Did I change the vertical shift, the phase shift, the period, or the amplitude? Okay, I haven't made the quiz yet, so I have no idea. Let's do this. Now they want the equation. Okay, so if they want the equation, and we're going to say it's cosine, I have to decide if it's in radian or degree. Well, I see pi's, so that means I know it's going to be something like that in radian mode. So the first thing I do is I look at the amplitude. Well, the distance from the top to the middle is supposed to be 1. Okay, so there's a 1 there, but I don't really need it, so that's good. The distance from hump to hump is supposed to be 2 pi. Oh, well, it is 2 pi, so I don't need anything there. And the top of my hump is exactly where it's supposed to be, and the bottom of my hump is exactly where it's supposed to be. So this is my parent graph. Okay? Let's do the next one. Let me zoom in. Okay? So I look here. This time it's in degree mode, so it's going to be y equals cosine of theta. First thing I do is I look at the amplitude. The top is at 2, and the middle is at 0. So that means my amplitude is 2, because the distance from the middle to the bottom is also 2. Okay. The distance from hump to hump is 360, so there's nothing there. And the top is exactly where it's supposed to be. So that's my answer for that one. Let's try another one. Okay. Let's look here. Okay. So y equals, it looks like it's degrees. I'm going to pause it real quick. I need to get my glasses. So I look here, the top is at 3, but the bottom is at -5. That means that's a distance of 5 plus 3, which is 8. But it's not the distance from the top to the bottom, it's the distance from the top to the middle. So the middle of it is right there at -1. That's a total distance of 4. Hump to hump is 360, that's where it's supposed to be. The problem is it's supposed to be like 3, -3, or 5, -5. That means it's shifted. If I shifted this up 1, and I shifted this up 1, then it would be where it was originally supposed to be. But they didn't do that, they went down 1. So that means this is supposed to be -1. This isn't easy, I know. Let's try this one. This is theta, so y equals cosine of theta. Hump to hump is 180, but it's supposed to be 360. It's half, but it's not a straight shooter, so it's going to be 2 theta. The distance here, that's 0, and that's -2. So the distance from here to here is 2, but it's not the top to the bottom, it's the top to the middle. Oh, so that means that's a 1. But it's supposed to be at 1, -1, and it's shifted down 1. Let's try one more, and then we'll be done with this section. Okay, so I see degrees. I like that. The top is at 5, and the bottom is at -3. Okay, sorry about that. The total distance is 5 plus 3, which is 8, but it's top to middle, so that means the middle is right here at 1. That's the distance of 4. Okay? Hump to hump is supposed to be 360. That's at 90, and that's at 270. That's a distance of 180. So it's the half, not a straight shooter, 2. The problem is, though, that the theta is supposed to be, in the top of the hump, is supposed to be here, but it's shifted 90 degrees. Okay. In addition, this is supposed to be at 4, -4, but they shifted up 1. That was definitely crazy. We'll be going over this in class. And that's it.